Our guest is in the studio. Kabando wa Kabando is a former member of parliament. He wants to go back to parliament in the Senate representing the people of Nyeri County. Good morning.
Good morning to you all.
So first of all, why are you late?
Actually, I have been around.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see you.
Very good.
As far as we and our listeners are concerned, Karibu sana.
Your studios are very wide, very beautifully made. And so we took time to do a few things within. And here we are now, SpiceFM.
Documenting your journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome, Kabando. How is Nyeri?
Nyeri is very fine. We left there very early in the morning. As the birds were waking up, we were together. And people in Nyeri are very hardworking. They are very happy that the season is turning good and there's peace in Kenya. And looking forward to greater things, particularly in this period of elections. Nyeri is known to be decent and very engaging. So it's fine, and I believe that the rest of Kenya too, what we are seeing is good.
Have you been cleared by IBC?
Yes, I was cleared, and I'm set to go. Cleared on the party of running mate to Raila Odinga, that's Honorable Mother Wangari Karua, party that is known as NAK Kenya, with a symbol of a rose flower that symbolizes love and peace.
When did you join NAK Kenya?
I joined NAK Kenya.
And why?
I joined NAK Kenya in 2006, but I did not use it to run for parliament in 07 elections because it was incorporated that time within the coalition of Party of National Unity, PNU. So I reverted to my earlier party, Safina. And from Safina in 2013, for purposes of defending our sovereignty in the context of what was happening with the International Criminal Court and the geopolitical dynamics of that particular election, was in the National Party, TNA. But my heart has always been with NAK Kenya because of the leadership of Mother Karua. And so this is where I've been. Over time, we have been working together, as people have seen, both privately and publicly in political programs. And NAK Kenya provides me an opportunity, though within a big coalition, to also have my space and also to associate with a party of leadership that is not blemished by issues that have really bedeviled our country, particularly corruption. So it provides a space of conscience and consciousness that will allow you to do your things, say the things you want to say, like the things I say daily, either in speeches or in articles. And therefore, it is a party that makes me feel very home. And more blessed, because the party of the running mate of Raila Odinga, who is definitely going to be the 5th president. No doubt about that.
I'm looking at Ndo because she has 17,000 questions that she's processing. Pick the first one. Just pick them randomly.
Okay.
Go.
All right. So, Kabando.
Yes, madam.
As we're looking at the process of this,
Yes.
One would believe from what you're saying that you really do then believe in the elements of leadership that Martha Karua presents.
Absolutely.
Right? However, you yourself have just said that all of that notwithstanding, a year after joining this party, you quote unquote left the party to be able to run on a ticket that would suit you then coming into government.
Absolutely.
Right? Does that have anything to do with shifting what you thought would be the right leadership under a party that could deliver you this position? Does that have anything to do with that?
Yes, sir.
And then coming into 2022, where it seems as though this wave now is moving the country, but then your allegiance is pledged there once again. Is it the wave, or are you still vested in that leadership from the beginning?
Very, very good question. In 2007, as I said, NAC was embedded, or it was affiliated to the Party of National Unity. And the Party of National Unity gave direct ticket to a few leaders across the country, particularly then sitting cabinet ministers or officials who are senior to the party. And so I didn't have that space. So I went to the party that I assisted, FOUD, that is the Safina, that you have founded a long time ago. That is 1995, when you are young people, straight from school. And so PNU had its owners. And so many of us left. And if I did not leave to go back to the party that I had assisted, FOUD, Safina, there was no way I was going to be elected a member of parliament in Mokoroine, because I would not have been given a ticket. The ticket was already given straight, direct to others. And then, even then, if you look, NAC Kenya was originally founded by people, Mother Karua, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, Asman Kamama, Dr. Muiza Kitui, who are chairmen at different times. Even Raphael Tuju was also a chairman at a different time, to give Mwai Kibaki a ticket, because the National Rainbow Coalition had already split. You know that? So in terms of reality, I wasn't going to get a ticket that time. But you remember very well, after 07 elections, we started working closely with Mother. And before then, by the way, I was just opposite the offices here at the Heidelberg building and the Kampala Road behind you, the offices of Nairobi Water Company, where by coincidence I was lucky to work with Mother Karua as Minister for Water for 3 years as myself pioneer chairman of Nairobi Water Company. So really, if you talk about not just the party, because a party can be a name, the leadership, our association with Mother Karua is long-standing. And, you know, I've received blessings and sometimes curses because of that relationship. When I joined Na Kenya ticket, and the Na Kenya is my party for Senate, Mother was not yet
The running
mate. But I can tell you, we worked about that. Many people worked for it. Many. Known and unknown. Public and private. And so it's a very sweet consequence of good efforts. And so the issue of the party is simply that there we are, and we are moving forward. History sweet, the future inviting us to be happy.
You're saying you worked very hard. Some, backroom conversations on getting Martha Karua picked as a running mate. Can you give us just some insights onto what was happening? I mean, what are these conversations that were taking place?
First of all, those who like Mother and who support Mother and admire her leadership and even stubborn positions when it comes to public policy and issues of governance and public interest, were pronouncing the need for her to be picked as a running mate, both in private conversations, as I said, in social media, in mainstream media, and there's public knowledge. There are many people that cannot be listed on the pages of the Standard, from page 1 to the back page, because they are countless, and many of whom are the unspoken heroes that don't want to claim any credit. So as much as we put public pressure for Mother to be running mate, and dared to even alienate some of our friends who also sought to be Raila's running mate, I would say that there are very many public interested individuals, women movement, professionals, business people, and even people in the political class who haven't spoken about it, who are persuading the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to do the right thing. But you always had the instinct, the gut feeling that Mother was inevitable.
that Raila was going to pick Martha.
We had that strong gut feeling.
We had so many people who had been fronted by the various political parties.
Yes, and
I can imagine when ODM was fronting Oparanya
Yes.
and Joho, ODM was campaigning for Oparanya and Joho. When Jubilee was fronting Peter Kenneth and Sabina, Jubilee, was expected to be campaigning for Sabina and Peter Kenneth.
Well, that happened, and all those individuals are friends. For example, Peter is a very good friend of mine. Peter Munya is a good friend of mine. Oparanya, we work very closely. He has even visited me twice when I was an MP in Mukurweini, and therefore, they are good individuals. They are patriotic. But there is always first among equals. Okay? You can be equal. And one of you will be slightly taller than you in the forest. The trees in the forest are not, even if you planted your trees the same day, and they are seedlings of the same size, as they grow, as they sprout, as they seek sunshine, one of them will be a little taller where the birds are going to perch. And so birds of fortune, birds of blessings had mother. And in any case, as I said, first among equals. Intellectually, above supposed competitors. That I can tell you. She's a senior counsel, been in the judiciary, been in LA Law Society of Kenya council, long-standing, opposition member of parliament from 1982 to 2002, and Kebake's cabinet minister for water, and thereafter Justice and Constitutional Affairs that birthed the new constitution that has given us the devolution and the various institutions that have improved our governance. So really, if it's about the CV, publicly known, mother was ahead. It's about seniority to serve within parliament. None of them has served as mother did. She was in parliament for 20 years. And also if you talk about education, it means a young girl, those early days, to be admitted to University of Nairobi to study law. How many of our age mates are lawyers in the villages of this country? Sometimes you go to a whole constituency or sub-county and you don't get a female lawyer. Still this time. So a pioneer in many shapes. Above all, my friends, I don't want to speak about the others because I'm not here to prosecute anyone. If I speak about mother, integrity. I see mother, I see chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. I see chapter 6, I see the embodiment of the courage and their devil politics that mother shows and has exemplified. How do you get that integrity? You must have courage. So if you are talking about somebody who will say as it is and seek to alienate the cowards or the culprits of the vices that have bedeviled Kenya, then mother represents that. So fortunately, we are not talking about mother just because she comes from Mount Kenya. We are talking about a pioneer and a courageous lady and a brilliant lady and one that has never been prosecuted. If you go to the EACC offices, you not get any file that relates to mother, either the minister for water, minister for justice, or even the patron of the Continuous Development Fund, CDF. So we may praise her so much until people think that we don't understand that nobody is perfect. But in leadership examination and vetting, mother passes the bill, and Raila Odinga couldn't have done anything better than to pick Mother Karua.
Many have argued, Martha is just a running mate. But the way people have talked about Martha, it's as if she is the candidate.
No, you can say
she has been candidate before, and we didn't hear people saying these things.
It was not her time. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, and you can go all the way to verse 9. There is time for everything under the sun. 2013 was not mother's time. 2017, I believe it was her time in Kirinyaga as a governor, And we know what happened, and we don't speak about it now because she went up to Supreme Court, and then the East Africa Court of Justice, and she was vindicated that she did not get justice in terms of that. 2022 is Mother's Time. At the Mother's Time comes with Raila Odinga as a boss. And although she is running it, I can tell you, across this country, if you go speak to professional women, to women in entrepreneurship, in business, if you talk to elderly women, all the way from Lamu to Masabit, across the country, they are saying, this is not just Mother's Time, it is their time. And not any other woman would represent women interests.
That's interesting that you should say that. I know,
Yes.
I know Eric wants to go to break, but does it matter that it was Martha, or does it matter that it is a woman?
Yes, it did, and it does, that it was Mother, because the attributes that I've just talked about are not to be found
In any other woman?
in any other woman.
Okay.
And so it does matter, and it will matter that is Mother Karua. Then, in terms of skills, which other woman in Kenya, perhaps, except Charity Gilu, who has been in Parliament that long, consistently, 4 terms. Okay, so it is Mother. And Gilu also did her part in 1987, and she's still serving as a governor of Kitui, which is a big feat because she runs on her own party.
Yep.
And wins. And you can easily compare, in terms of longevity and experience, you compare Mother with the Gilu. But then if you come to other attributes, then Mother breaks away from just the identity of a woman to now the Kenyan, the citizen. So yes, in the gender perspective, you have seen women. I'm here to meet a woman in private who has said no to Mother. Sincerely. I swear, in the name of Lord. I can swear.
Okay.
In private. Last Saturday, we attended a very big wedding of a daughter of my friend, my neighbor in Nairobi. And an individual was sitting across the table, took his seat to my table, because his son is running for parliament in Nairobi. And I can mention this individual, because he did it among many people and it was public. He's the founder of Nice and Lovely, Mr. Paulo Kenodia. So he came and he chatted for about 5 minutes, and with him, the person, another gentleman was sitting there, also shifted to our table. There were tables of 8. So now we were sitting, we squeezed to be 10, and they initiated politics there. And that individual said he is contexting somewhere on UDA. And he said his choice of presidency, of course, within. So Paul decided to do something unorthodox. And he asked the other people on the table, now, you see, now the other 7, who are you electing for president? Every one of them was Mother. I'm telling you, this was a Kabu Road, just here. Then Kenodia decided to do an opinion poll across 7 tables. 7 tables. And where we are seated, the youth were seated on the other side. Our side was mostly dominated by friends of the parents of the bride. So he went to 7 tables of 8 persons each. Okay? And it was very interesting because he was largely a private person and a businessman. And he started saying, we are doing an opinion poll. And just say yes or no. Say, this side, now you mentioned the other side of Kenya Kwanza Alliance, or Mother Nabamba. Okay? And everyone initiated a discussion. People who are just listening to speeches, and that time they were eating,
They started engaging in politics.
the whole hall, the whole dome became very agitated. I'm telling you, in private, if you talk to any woman, even in these studios, unless one has very personal interest, they will tell you, we are happy with Mother. And if you walk even across, you have had even people who are contesting on a UDA ticket and other affiliated parties from Monte Kenya region. They are saying, we are thinking, and some of them have started saying, munichague, lakini pale juu, mujamulie. I'm telling you, it is happening.
Tell us this. Let's take this break. Kabando is a senatorial candidate for Nyeri County under NARC Kenya. He's here today. We are looking at the Martha Karua effects on the battle for the mountain in the presidential ticket. He's telling us, okay, so the ground is shifting. You'll explain to us that in detail, and we'll also get to understand exactly what you mean.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you very much for joining us. Our guest this morning is Kabando, senatorial candidate for Nyeri County under NARC Kenya. We are talking about the effect of Martha Karua. Kabando, before this whole Martha Karua effect was launched, we've had several conversations with leaders from Mount Kenya. Among them, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, members of parliament from there, from the region, including Sabina Chege and others. And they have openly admitted that, yes, if you went to the ground, very many people would tell you that they are on UDA and Kenya Kwanza, and that is their affiliation. So now the question is, has that nomination of Martha Karua as running mate had any impact on those people who had already decided?
Yes, it has had and continues to impact differently in a good way, at least for us who are in the Azimio la Umoja movement, because many young people within that region, although I would say across the country, were very ambivalent about politics of 2022. Very many of them. And I can give you an example. My firstborn is 25 years old. She tried to get her friends to register so that they can come and vote for her dad, KABANDO, as a senator in Nyeri. I facilitated. Those are people who come from Nyeri. She was trying to troop them back to Nyeri and to interest them so that they can be volunteers. She could barely get 20 people because we were saying they are very disappointed, they are very frustrated with the way the country is going. And I think you have also seen many opinion polls, including with groups like TIFA, saying that many Kenyans were not happy where the country was going, or the status of the economy, to be specific. And this affected more of the young generation, the young graduates from colleges and universities. Now, since Mother was picked, that very Monday morning, there was a shift. Our platforms, both the private and the public, social media, emails and all that, were flooded with excitement from this same generation of young people saying, oh, now with the Mother, we have reason to vote. I met a number of senior citizens, again, let me say females, from my region, who before were not speaking. They were not speaking for this or that other coalition. They were just there.
They were indifferent.
They were indifferent. And we knew we had difficulty in convincing them to come back to vote the way they did in 2013, 2017 and before. But since Mother was announced as a running mate to Raila Odinga, the game has changed. The talk has changed. Now you can walk to any public place, to any church, to any community gathering, and the question of Raila Odinga, who was not spoken about before, and if he was maybe out of 10, one person, now you can get 5 out of 10 people saying because of Martha Wangari Karua will elect Raila Odinga as president. That's in the regional dynamics.
But then, is this because of Martha or is it because of a running mate from Mount Kenya?
No.
Because the whole conversation has been both camps must choose somebody from Mount Kenya.
Let me tell you, if he picked anybody else, there would not have been any significant difference. Maybe there would have been a difference from
anybody else from Central Kenya.
Yes, anybody else from Central. And I want to be very clear on that. And as I said, even those who are being
We know
listed.
who they are. I mean, there was
We know
Peter
who they are.
Munya, there was Sabina, there was Peter Kenneth.
Yeah, and as I said, they are my friends. Munya is my college mate, school together for the entire period. You know, as you know, Peter is a very good friend, even friends to even my children and family friend. Sabina Chege, we have been in parliament together. You know, she has even made a visit to my local primary school in the last parliament. So they are all my friends. But let's be clear. Politics and the public interest is beyond friendships. So you may think that even your kin is very qualified to certain position. But so it had to be Mother Karua. I think I already listed some of the attributes. So even if there was another candidate from Kikuyu community, from Meru or Ebu or the Dharakas, to be Raila's running mate, the difference would not have been significant. And now, it is because the mother effect, the courage of mother is not to be found among other people. And as I said, a person who has been given a job, whether it is in the judiciary, she left clean, whether it was in the Law Society of Kenya, you remember the position she took in 1990, whether it was a courage to go and defend Raila Odinga and Matiba when they were detained, and the courage to even tell the late second president, Moi, no, in a public rally. Nobody else did that in the entire period of Moi, 24 years. And the courage to even say, I don't want to earn a salary as a minister of government and drive in government vehicles and get government privileges under the government of Moi Kibaki when there are some officials who are countermanding every of my decision in a radical surgery of judiciary as a minister for justice and constitutional affairs. Yet, she was with Kibaki from 1982. She was never sacked. We tried to tell her. She said, no. She told family and friends, no, it is my position. I'm not going to earn a single cent from tomorrow. And today, I exit the office of Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs because I'm being countermanded, and that ministry is supposed to improve governance and stand up for integrity and what is good within the rule of law and the Constitution. But that means a person who is selfless. So yes, it has to be mother.
It had to be mother.
It has to be.
Did Rigathi Gachagua have an effect? The choice of Rigathi Gachagua by William Ruto and not any other person from Mount Kenya.
We come from the same country with the Honorable Rigathi, and there's an individual who has spoken to me very many times in the recent past. We have even been here with him, just I think about a week before naming of a mother. We are in the KTN studios. I have to say this, that I am meant to go to any village. I'm coming from Nyeri this morning. I have been in Nyeri 4 days of this past week. Okay? Just moving out quietly without without loudspeakers. And the villages I visited in Keni and in Nyeri town and in Tetu, those specific 3 constituencies. I am here to meet anyone saying I'm going to elect Ruto because of the running mate. The fact is, Ruto has influence and has had a lot of meetings within that region. As a politician, I would say, you cannot ignore that. All right? But we are talking about the shift. Ruto had some people supporting him who have now moved to Raila Odinga. All right?
In Nyeri County.
We're
talking about
niongeze volume.
Rigathi Gachagua's county. You're saying there's no excitement.
Wacha niongeze volume.
Hebu sema.
Naongeza volume nikueleza hivi. Kwamba nitokako county ya gallantry of Dedan Kimathi, Mwai Kibaki Wangari Maathai. All right? Sijapata mtu yeyote amesema ama anayelenga kumchagua Ruto kwa sababu ya Rigathi. Wako wengi ambao wanasema watamchagua Ruto kwa sababu amekuwa nao kwa miaka karibu 10 tangu achaguliwe kama naibu wa rais. Wako ni kweli. Lakini kinagaubaga nikueleze kwamba mashinani, wengi ambao walikuwa wako na tashwishi kama watachaguana, kama wataingia kwa kampeni, wamefufua matumaini yao kwamba kupitia kwa tikiti ya Martha Karua akiwa mgombea mwenza wa Raila Amolo Odinga, tuingie huko. So kweli ushawishi mkubwa sana na msisimuko wa mlima wa Kirinyaga, unaujua kama mlima Kenya, Mount Kenya, watu wakielekea muungano wa Azimio la Umoja. And for now, for the first time, anyone in any part of Central Kenya can pick a microphone, speak loudly in any gathering, and say, I, Kabando, I, so and so, electing Raila Odinga because he has a now very progressive dual ticket of him and Martha Karua. So I don't want to talk about Rigathi as a person. I would not want to even talk about Ruto as a person. But the reality is, majority of the voters in that region before 2 weeks ago were with Ruto. But I'm telling you, ignore the rallies you see around. Ignore these meetings that are arranged and people are given resources to mobilize and bring people out. Just take a vehicle, take a boda or walk to any township, to any village dwelling, or even to near the town. Go to any restaurant, go to any workshop and talk to people impromptu. Ask them, munachagua nani? Utachanga sana. Kwa sasa,
more and more people are saying Raila.
More and more people are saying Raila. And the difference is this. Those who are saying Raila now are saying with so much determination, to the extent that anyone who has now taken a position or who is turning to take a position to vote Raila Odinga is doing so with such optimism, a lot of hope, a lot of determination. So those who support Raila, turn out within Mount Kenya. Hey. Those who support Raila Martha ticket, turnout will be 100%. Those who support them.
City, you know you have.
Their motivation is just natural.
City.
You know, I could actually sit here and listen to Mheshimiwa speaking. If he was a preacher, I would have been one of those people who would have lifted his hands up for an altar call.
Amen.
Let me ask this question. I have 3 questions I want to ask. Let me start with the first one. Would you say... No, let me give a background. Something similar happened in the mountain region in the time when Kenneth Matiba wanted to be president. Matiba had been away. He had been unwell. And the front runner was Mwai Kibaki, without a shadow of a doubt. Matiba came in, and I saw something unbelievable. In 2 weeks, that tide changed completely. Mwai Kibaki's candidature was eclipsed. It was now Matiba. In fact, it was, as I said, it was something interesting to behold. Question number 1. Are you saying it is something similar?
Do I answer now?
Yes.
In 1992,
Yes.
then I was a student at the University of Nairobi. I remember, and I went to Old St. Cathedral to receive Matiba. We walked all the way from the airport because he represented a rebellion against the status quo then. Although Mwai Kibaki was leading, I can tell you, a lot of people. I'm from Nyeri. I went to receive Matiba. He was our hero, and he remains our hero. Rest in peace. It was, the difference is that time also, many people had not made the decision completely about who to vote because they were disappointed with the split in the opposition. First, within the Forum for Restoration and Democracy Ford, because Matiba was running, Jaramogi was running, and Masida Moriro was running.
Yes.
And then within the region, those who came from there, you had Kibaki and you had Matiba. And I don't think it was exactly like it is today, because up to 1997, the following election, a lot of people within the region who are with Matiba did not shift to DP automatically.
They still waited
including,
for Matiba.
like if you in Muranga has the 7 constituencies. 3 members of parliament in 87 were elected on different parties. Keharu, Safina, Madhio and Kagema, they elected 4 people. Including Mechuki himself was not elected on DP ticket. So that uncertainty of 1982 also caused voter turnout to be very low. I think there was 65 or 66% voter turnout, because people are saying the opposition is divided. Kibaki was more senior to Matiba in terms of longevity in government, in terms of maybe even intellectual and all that, but Matiba symbolized something else, corporate leadership, courage, and particularly, Kuganagweka, say and do. That was Matiba's. So that split became very big. Here you have a decent gentleman of Kenyan politics, Moi Kibaki, a student throughout, decent leadership. Then here you have a man who was a shaper from Makerere University also, all the way to breweries and the founder of enterprises like Wango Emburi, among his people, to buy land and invest in various agricultural enterprises. So there was that. Today, there isn't a contest between Matiba and Kibaki in Central Kenya. Central Kenya only has Mother Karua. I'm telling you, nobody can hold a candle against Mother. Central Kenya today, the leader of Central Kenya, who is the leader of Kenya?
What is the Uhuru Kenyatta effect? There are those that have said that everybody else who had made up their mind on who they were going to vote for, some were voting in protest against Uhuru Kenyatta.
And that's exactly why the entry of Mother makes that difference. Those who are protesting against the incumbent president, those who are dissatisfied with the current regime, and the current regime has a president as a deputy, have gotten a reprieve, a sigh of relief, because Mother is none of that. She is an outsider. Do you know that now Kenya doesn't have a member of parliament? I don't know whether it has an MCA or even a governor or senator. Mother can be cited or equal to the David. That small boy who was herding some goats somewhere? Now Kenya, a small party without a big house like ODM or Jubilee. Mother was fished by Raila from the ocean of integrity. All right? From the forest of the sweetest fruit. That's where Raila went. And he did a conscientious choice. So, yes, one can say that there is a protest that was, and they could have been there, but people are saying, you see, we have Mother now. We have Mother now. So those who are protesting, and they are going to the other side, because they felt that the regime has not done this or the other one, are now saying, we have Mother. Mother has been out of parliament for 10 years. Yet I don't know a politician who has been out of parliament for that time who has remained publicly relevant like a Mother. In the news every week, speaking, giving statements. You go to her Twitter account, Mother is speaking. You go to mainstream media, Mother is being interviewed every time, moving across the country, out of the country. Just the other day, before she was speaking, she was an invited guest by the women of Uganda, in a rural part of Uganda. We have seen her attending UN conferences and being guest. So, I don't think it was just given, this ticket was not given to Mother simply because of her individual credentials. There was also something to do with being active, retaining yourself as a relevant person. Visibility in politics is very important. You know what? You can equate Mother to Kijana Amaro in another way. Before 2002, Mwai Kibaki could not get a single MP from Western Kenya. When Kijana Amaro joined Kibaki, and the other forces now, Raila Odinga came on board, and Kina Charity Gilu, and even Kalonzo came. In 2002 elections, the whole of the Mulembe nation, only one individual was elected on Kanu ticket with a slim margin after using hundreds of millions. That was Nabale constituency in Busia, Kirizokemo. The rest of the Mulembe nation, from Kakamega to Busia, to Bugoma, all right? To Vihiga, to Trans Nzoia, all trooped. This is likely scenario to emerge in Mount Kenya. I'm telling you.
We shall be here to watch. Kabando,
Asante.
we thank you very much for joining us. Come again as your campaign picks up speed and also this national campaign picks up speed. Let's compare the notes of what will be happening in Mount Kenya in a couple of weeks' time, 3-4 weeks. Asante sana.
Thank you very much for the invitation. My first time in SpiceFM. I look forward to coming, even if you need me every week.
Wow.
I assure you,
Kabisa.
I'll be coming to sleep in your studios.
Good.
To awake into the
The nation.